Lost your damn mind, man. I get what you believe. I get what you believe. I get what you believe, Jay. I know you got something else.
What's everybody doing tonight? Doing a spontaneous live stream tonight. Talk about the Panthers quarterback situation. Just got me and Kev tonight. Wait for some.
Good night, Greg. You go sleep. Why can't just sit here and look play? And wonder what you got some sleep. Yeah, I got something going. I got an ass whooping room for you, Greg. You don't stop. Oh, yeah, right. That's right, Greg. All right. Yeah. Yeah, okay. It's gonna be with this. Yeah, well, if I do, and then I put the sheets on you. How do you do that?
Just wait for some more people to join. We're going to be talking about the big news the last couple of days.
All right. You want me to put information on background on Barkley, or you already did that?
Yeah, I got that.
Oh, you got it? Okay.
It's big news today, but Sam Darnold has a really much broken chest plate. He's injured in the Falcons game, so he's going to go on IR 4 to 6 weeks. Is that a surprise to you?
Nah, not at all. I mean, come on, man. I was just here Sunday night. I was just here telling y'all, don't be surprised if this man don't play another down this year. And I'll be damned. That's it. I said they're going to find some way. Y'all remember I said it. I said they're going to find some way to get him on IRs. Now, I ain't know it would be through this, but hey. Rule is rule. I don't give. Thank you, Matt Rule, for getting Sam Darnold the fuck up off our field. Thank you. I got no problems with what he did, what he had to do.
I mean, it's like the steps were in place. The minute you hear, he has a terrible stretch of games. And we saw it with Greg Little last year. We saw it all the time. Players have a struggle. Then all of a sudden you hear, oh no, MRI coming. Oh no, here we go. And then it's kind of what we call a gentleman's benching. They don't want to embarrass him in the public eye, so you got to bench him somehow. That's what the IR come into handy.
Right. Yeah. Like you said, it's this. Like you said, it was a gentleman way of telling him to sit your ass down some damn where, because you get me on a hot seat that originally when he's supposed to be nowhere near. After giving up a second, a fourth, and a sixth. I get that we got the fourth and the sixth back in the draft this past year with the trade batch that we did, but yeah, man, like I said, I said it. They was gonna find some way where this man gonna play another down. Now they're talking about 4 to 6 weeks. Man, ain't nobody trying to bring back no Sam Darnold with that brutal stretch of games in the month of December, man. Hey, Sam, you done. We'll figure out how to resolve this, but you done playing here, Playboy.
Let's talk about Matt Rule's interview today a little bit, because yesterday, I guess Monday was when we first heard about the MRI he was having, so he wouldn't commit to a starter. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, and then the next day, Ian Rappaport updates us and says he's day-to-day, nothing came up on the MRI. And then all of a sudden today, it's like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, yesterday evening, it's like, oh, wait a minute. They found, what was it, scapula, broken scapula? I'm like, well, first time I heard of that. And then all of a sudden he's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks. I'm like, where did this come from? Because I don't remember him getting hit that much in the Patriots game.
Yeah, he only was sacked, like I said, on 33 dropbacks, on 33 pass attempts. It was 1 sack, 3 quarterback hits, and 6 quarterback hurries. I think he had about maybe 2 or 3 knockdowns, but again, it definitely wasn't no heavy pressure, package that he faced. But again, fans want to get, some fans come be mad. Oh, he lied or he jeopardized his health. Look, Sam Darnold jeopardized our season or whatever. Let's take all the little emotions out of him and call it for what it is. That man jeopardized our season. We got a legit top 5 defense. after being bottom 5, not even 2 years ago. Last year we was on pace. We had the second worst third down defense in the history of the NFL. We got players that's in their prime playing well, collectively as a unit. And I get it. Yeah, offensive line missed some blocks. Wide receivers dropped some passes, but you take all those mistakes together, and it still don't equate to the damage that Sam Darnold has done. I mean, what was that stat you quoted the other night? Was it missed air yards? Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore,
Yep,
number 2 and number 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
both of them top 5.
Yeah, and for those y'all that don't know, missed air yards metric is basically saying how many yards that they were wide open and was never even targeted. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, I know they say it mysteriously came up. I just say I serve a God that can do all things but fails, and he works in mysterious ways. And I just want to bless his name right now because we have got this nigga up off the field, and I am so thankful. Man, he I know how y'all feel seeing it on TV, but man, to be in the stands watching this, we're sitting there, fans want, man, he's wide open, throwing the ball. And I get it. We fans sitting up high looking, but come on, man. I mean, we've all played football, man. It's just absurd the amount of points. Like every Sunday, we're leaving 2 or 3 touchdowns on the field easily. But yeah, hey, whatever happened, because the NFL checks, make sure there's nothing shady been going on. So, for anybody that's speculating what's going on, if it is, it'll be called out. But at this point, why keep putting up with more of the Sam Darnold show? How many more games of 3 interceptions? You already had 2 games with 3 picks already, Will?
Right. Yeah, 3 games, 2 interceptions to the same guy.
So
yeah, this comment here, we knew he was hurt and played him anyway. Matt Rule actually said this is a new injury that he suffered in the second quarter against the Patriots. So we looked through the second quarter, there's only one possible play where he could have got hurt. So his Rule was saying he caught an elbow to the back or something like that. So it's a different part of the shoulder. So, I mean, I wasn't aware of this injury after that game. So this isn't the same one from the hit against Atlanta, according to Matt Rule. So, I mean, take that how you want it. I mean, the media kind of grilled him today on it. I think people are kind of skeptical of whether this is truly a season-ending injury or more so just a gentleman's benching. I think it's a combination of both probably. If he played well, would he still be sitting out this week?
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, the hit that he took in Atlanta was nasty. That was that was a hit, and for him to pass concussion protocol that quickly, I was kind of surprised and shocked by that. Because PJ Walker, took all the snaps, leading up to practice, all the first team reps leading up. So Sam didn't even practice last week. Well, clearly it showed, on the field, because at halftime, when I went live, I was sitting there like, he went 5 for 12 for 32 yards. I'm like, what? I'm like, man, he getting paid next year $18 million to go 5 for 12 for 32 yards. We gave up 3 draft picks for this man to go 5 for 12 for 32 yards. So,
right,
man.
So they say he got hurt in the second quarter. He finished the game, then comes in Monday. He's feeling more pain. Then he takes an MRI.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess initially didn't find anything. According to the Pro Football Doc, the former Chargers pro doctor, this type of injury can't be really found on a X-ray, so you have to really go through the MRI to locate it. And I guess they must have found it today when they did quote-unquote additional tests. Finally found something wrong with him, so he's going to IR at this point. I guess the question is now, what's his future in Carolina? You think he next to another snap as a Panther? We're talking 4 to 6 weeks, of being out. By the time he gets back, we're in that final brutal 4-game stretch at Buffalo, Tampa twice, New Orleans. I mean, Is he going to come back during that brutal stretch, or you think he's basically shut down for the rest of the year?
I see him as shut down for the rest of the year. So let's count these next 4 to 6 weeks. All right, we got Arizona, week 1. That's 1 week. Home against the Reds. Well, the Washington football team. 2 weeks. 3 weeks. Home against Atlanta, December 12th. All right, that's your 4-week mark. So he's at least till, at the very minimum, after the Atlanta game, be reevaluated to see what's up. Week 5 weeks, we're at Buffalo. Week 6, home against Tampa. The day after Christmas on the 26th. So, I mean, either after the Atlanta game or after the Tampa game, it's potential when he could come back. And at that point, what is there to come back for? I mean, unless PJ Walker is about to, I don't know, morph into something that we've never seen before out of him. I really see like we're just playing out the string and trying to just, keep it competitive and see if we can sneak a few wins out of here, man. Because, to say that we may have won our last game is really something that realistically we could be looking at here. So we got 5 now. We had 5 last year? Last year we was 5-11. So, man, like I say, our defense is good enough to keep us in games against the remaining teams. But if our offense can't sustain and put touchdowns and on the board and control the time possession like we was doing earlier and not turn the ball over, then it's not gonna matter. They're gonna get tired. A dog get tired after a while. So I just really think that realistically, there's a chance that we might not win another game the rest of the season. But now go ahead.
What's this mean for Matt Rule, though? I mean, we look at what he was saying in the summer about Sam Darnold, how the defensive staff was watching cut-ups for their defense, and then they watched Sam Darnold on the other side. He flashed a couple throws. He looked like Matthew Stafford. They wanted to bring this guy in. They thought there was meat on the bone. This is a guy they really felt could beat. I mean, they really thought this guy could be the franchise quarterback. I mean, is Matt Rule gonna pay for this in the long run, or you think Tepper's gonna be patient with him? Because according to Joe Person, David Tepper wanted Justin Fields, but Matt Rule opted for J.C. Horn.
Wow, that's news to me as far as Tepper. So hold on. So you're saying that Tepper's on record for saying that he wanted Justin Fields?
Right. Tepper, according to Joe Person, that's his source. Tepper wanted Justin Fields, whereas Matt Rule and the staff opted for J.C. Horn.
Yeah. And again, take it for what it's worth. I know Tepper has said many times, if his opinion is asked, he'll give it, but he'll leave football to the football folks. But if that's the case, this deal could potentially be the one that causes Matt Rule's seat to get a lot warmer and potentially up out of here a lot earlier than maybe what's anticipated. Now, he is in year 2 of a 7-year. We talked about in previous shows speculation, potentially he could go back to college, particularly Penn State as a possibility if their coach leave to take the USC job. So, this offseason is definitely going to be one of high intrigue as far as what takes place. Not only in the NFL ranks, but the college levels as well that could cause a trickle down effect on us. But I think Tepper has patience, but at the same time, if Justin Fields continues to play with the Bears in a way that's steadily improving, then you can look back and be like, that could be, quote, the straw that broke Matt Rule's back. But I'm just going to fit on the side and think, I'm going to say for right now, no, I don't think that it's going to calls it, because that's, as I stated, Tepper said that he only voiced his opinion about football when asked, but he said he'll never, quote, tell, Matt Rule who to get. That's why it's in his contract that all player personnel decisions are, finalized through him. So, yeah, that's gonna be my official answer. I don't think this is gonna be I don't think this is gonna cause him to lose his job after the season.
So with that said, like, when did the plan change? Because my understanding was, okay, they moved on from Cam Newton, which we'll get to later. So they bring in Teddy Bridgewater. The deal was purposely structured to be a 2-year contract, only $33 million guaranteed, with a 3rd-year option. So if they didn't find their franchise quarterback where he outplayed his contract, they would have exercised that option and he would have had an extra year. So my understanding was you bring in Teddy as a bridge quarterback, no pun intended, and you either draft a quarterback in the 2021 draft where you had Justin Fields and Mac Jones available, or you could take a quarterback in the draft this year with Kenny Pickett, you got Carson Strong, you got Malik Willis, you got Sam Howell, and you got Matt Corral. At what point did it change? Because it looked like they went from wanting to rebuild and draft a franchise quarterback to eventually replace Teddy to going hard in free agency after proven veterans like Matthew Stafford and Deshaun Watson.
Well, in my opinion, I think the opinion changed from rebuild to try to do something is that, if we remember watching the last 4 games of last year, our defense was playing like a top 5 unit finally. After taking a lot of lumps and beatings throughout the year, they really started to come on strong. The pass rush picked up. So I think they went into this offseason thinking, we might be a little bit further ahead of schedule than what. Let's push some of these chips in the table and let's see if we can get this, party started earlier per se. So I think that was the reason that we prematurely moved on from Teddy Bridgewater. And again, let me go ahead and put it out there. Whether you agree or not, the Panthers owe an apology to Teddy Bridgewater, as far as the way they went about and did things, with his departure, all because he doesn't take, quote, enough big plays down the field. Well, you see with Sam Darnold, he takes plenty of big plays down the field, and what does it result in? It results in turnovers and pick 6 for the other team. So, Panther fans, be careful what you ask for. Wanting all these big highlight deep balls and all that. Yeah, I get it. It looks good, but that's a high risk, high reward, type of mind frame here. And you look what Teddy's doing now. He's playing the same similar style, in Denver, and he's got 14 touchdowns and 5 interceptions right now. Can you imagine what our record would be if we had 14 passing touchdowns and only 5 interceptions out of Sam Darnold? Well, can I say we'd be at least at worst 7-2?
Yeah, we don't lose the Eagles game. We probably don't lose to the Giants. I mean, that was we couldn't get any offense going that game. So I mean, that's 2 more wins. That would be put us at 6. So you can find more winning there. Who knows what happens? I mean,
the
Dallas,
Vikings
we handed the game over on interceptions of Trayvon Diggs. So,
yep. The Vikings, that was we could have won.
Right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So really, outside of Dallas, with that type of play, we, like I said, we legit at worst could be, tied for the division lead with Tampa Bay right now. I believe they're at 6-2, or I think because they had the bye week or whatever. But in any event, with Teddy Bridgewater, again, I know he's not the flashy, like we said from day one, he was never the long-term answer. So just because Foreman Rush went out to say we support Teddy Bridgewater, we're not saying that he was the long-term answer. What he was is that he, based on the plan that our owner, David Tepper, and our coach, Matt Rule, told us, his job was to hold the fort down for the next few years while we get out of this dead cap with our salary, while we, stock up on draft picks, and while we get our core players re-signed and built up, and while we draft, our future quarterback. That was the path that was sold to us. You know what I'm saying? So, but again, because Teddy didn't throw enough deep balls and all this other stuff, and just just not enough highlight plays. I just think that fans got antsy and was hollering for his name out, and I'm not sure what led to the coaching staff to decide to part ways either. Were they thinking the same thing? Are we not taking enough big plays down the field? They kept talking about what a live arm that he has now. For all his fuck ups this year, Sam Darnold, I can say that when he does throw the football, he does throw a pretty ball. It does get there quick. It does have some zip on it. I will say that. But again, that zip on it going to another team with 11 interceptions ain't it, people. But it is what it is at this point. And this is the bed, so now we got to lie in it, and we're gonna have to lie in it for a little while too, because as where it stands right now, we have no day 2 picks, no second round, no third round pick in this upcoming draft where things currently stand. So we're gonna have to ride this out.
I appreciate you, Luke Cage, for the super chat. His comment is that I was never about liking Teddy, but it was a sound plan. What the F happened where Sam of all QBs became the replacement? If you go back in time, they had a trade done for Matthew Stafford back in what was it? I mean, the new league year is March. That's when trades can finalize. But they had a trade done and ready to be signed to ship Matthew Stafford to Carolina, but Matthew Stafford shot it down. He just didn't want to play here. So that fell apart. But now the cat's out the bag. Now what are you going to do? Tell Teddy, oh, we're sorry, we tried to trade you, ... Basically, you burned your bridge and ruined your relationship right there. So you try to trade for Matthew Stafford, that goes downhill. Then you're aggressively pursuing Deshaun Watson. He has his legal troubles, which we're not going to get into yet. And then once you do that, the cat's out the bag. You're pretty much saying, Teddy, we're moving on from you, and ... So now, what's the backup plan? They go to these pro days. San Francisco moves up to 3 to get Trey Lance or Mac Jones. And then I think they just panic moved and traded for Sam Darnold. And I mean, I trust them. I respect their scouting eye, but I just have no clue what they saw in this guy to bring him here. I mean, under Adam Gase and the Jets, he showed nothing that should warrant him being a starting quarterback in this league. And then not only did they bring him in, they traded a 2nd-round pick, a 3rd-round pick, and a 6th-round pick. They picked up his 5th-year option, fully guaranteed it for $18 million next year. So unless we can find a trade partner, we're going to be eating that $18 million cap hit on Sam Darnold next year as well. So just all in all, I think this just snowballed out of control and put us in a really bad spot at that position.
Yeah, actually, it's a 2nd and a 4th, not a 2nd and a 3rd. But also with that, now for whatever reason, if Sam Darnold can't pass the physical by the new league year, then that $18 million is not guaranteed either. So you got to be healthy by the start of the league year for your 5th-year option to be fully guaranteed.
Where would we be with Justin Fields? I don't think Fields. My plan would have been you keep Bridgewater. You have Fields on the roster. Maybe Fields took over mid-season. Maybe he took over next season. Because let's be honest. Fields is struggling too in Chicago, but he's a rookie. You'd be more patient with his struggles. They had the plan to have Andy Dalton start this year, but because of Andy Dalton's injury, Fields couldn't sit the whole year. So he had to come in, and he struggled a lot. But I think on Monday Night Football, he had his best game of the season. In the past 2 weeks, he's been one of the best performers at quarterback in the entire league. So he's trending upwards and starting to reach that potential a lot of us expected him to reach. So with that said, talk about PJ. Before we get to PJ Walker, let's talk about the next move they made yesterday. After we got news that Darnold was going to miss 4 to 6 weeks, the Panthers signed not Cam Newton. They didn't call Phillip Rivers out of retirement. They signed Matt Barkley. So, do you get the impression that we're sitting 8th place right now at 4-5. They expanded the wild card to 7 teams. So as bad as we played, we're still well within the mix to play for a wild card. This defense is a playoff defense. We got great skill players on offense. You think this team is trying to make the playoffs this year, signing guys like Matt Barkley in an emergency quarterback situation?
Nah, definitely. This was not a winning move. This was how can I put this? This was a ghost move. And what I mean by ghost is this was something to say that, hey, we got a quarterback injured. We're signing a quarterback. There has been nothing about Barkley that would even suggest that he's going to be an upside to it. I think you got his numbers, if I'm not mistaken. He's got more interceptions than touchdowns. I'm not sure what his completion percentage is, but
under 60.
Yeah. So it's like, it's like he's Sam Darnold's little cousin. You know what I'm saying? I mean, older cousin. Because I think Barkley's been in the league by 8-9 years,
Right.
something to that effect. Another USC quarterback. I don't get it. Like I really need to see how the evaluation of the quarterback goes. I know that Scott Fitterer, hung his hat on being someone that has an eye for the quarterback because the way it was told, he was the one that found Russell Wilson in Seattle in the 3rd round. Yeah, I get that, but the quarterback moves you made here as a GM for the Carolina Panthers have not even came close to suggesting that you have an eye for QB talent. So that makes me think potentially somebody else, spotted that and you're just taking the credit for it because there's been nothing about any other quarterbacks that's currently on this roster from Sam Darnold to PJ Walker to now Matt Barkley to what's the other guy?
James Morgan.
Yeah. Now God bless them. They living out their NFL dream. They're on the NFL roster. They're getting paid to play a kids game that they love. Hey, great, cool. You're part of the 1%. But as a team that literally is right in the thick of the wild card with still 8 games left, for me, this was a move that just signifies, hey, we're gonna try our best. Whatever happens, happens. But if we win, cool. But if not, we got another plan that we're working on underneath, but we can't tell it yet. So we got to do something. We got to make some sort of move. Again, Cam Newton was sitting out there. You cannot tell me, and I think that's one of the things he was pressed on today at his press conference. You cannot tell me anything that's on Barkley's resume that will remotely make you think that he was a better option than Cam Newton. Let's call it for what it is. That's pride. That's saying, look, we're not going to go back to this guy. Who knows? I mean, are we sure Cam would have wanted to came back here under these circumstances and situations? With all this being said and rumored, the rumor that, his picture been taken down at throughout the stadium, which I personally did not see. I remember when you asked me about that. I know people were taking pictures and saying things, but them pictures that they showed them pictures been there for years. So, we'll say that for another day. But again, that there had to have been better options to bring in that quarterback outside of Matt Barkley. It had to be.
Yeah, with Cam Newton, we're not going to pretend like he's the same 2015 Cam. But even in this current state, after all the injuries, he's on the opposite side of 30. I mean, is he really worse than what we have on our roster now, even as last year? I mean, even with his shoulder injuries, even being banged up, he's still a competent starting quarterback in the league. Like he said on his YouTube channel, there's not 32 quarterbacks better than him. And, I mean, Matt Barkley definitely isn't. So is this more of like a pride move while they're not calling him, is try to prove to us that they can do it without him? This definitely doesn't seem like a win now move. And you're seeing guys like Trey Boston come out and say, why aren't we making this move? I mean, look at the team we're wasting this year. Like, why, with this defense, sitting, competing for a wild card spot, why are we not trying to get the best player we can at that most important position and try to make this run now?
Yeah, you hit it right on the head, Will, and I'll keep it short and sweet. It was a pride thing. It was the fact that, okay, yeah, we may have jumped the gun and fucked up, but we can't revisit this because even if you do bring Cam back, it would just be for the rest of the season, then to go through dealing with the media outlash and fan backlash if you have to let him go again. I just think they're just trying to avoid dealing with that altogether, no matter how much on the field sense that is made. I think they're looking at it as more as how it could potentially affect them off the field, which again shows signs of a front office and a coaching staff that's not looking to take advantage of a possibility of making the playoffs in the second year of a rebuild, because this defense is a playoff defense. With a better offense to support it, you can say that this is a contending championship potential defense that we have. But, again, it just really signifies that we're not in win mode now. We're thinking about setting up year 3 is what this move says to me.
So you look at PJ Walker now. Matt Rule named him the starter today. I mean, in all fairness, he's had one career start. So, I mean, we really haven't seen a large sample size of reps from him. I thought against the Detroit Lions, he showed some good things. He made some good throws. He showed his mobility. He's a good athlete. His decision-making is a little shaky. He threw 2 red zone interceptions. We saw him in preseason this year, very inconsistent. First game, look at our preseason scouting reports. He had a very good first game. Then he kind of went downhill when he had to back up Will Grier, kind of like a roller coaster performance. Then when the times he had to come in this year, he looked like a deer in the headlights, let's be honest. You think with a week of preparation, healthy Christian McCaffrey, we can see some things that we haven't from PJ? Or you think at this stage is where he is what he is at this point?
You know what? I want to give I'm gonna step on the side and give PJ the benefit of the doubt. I would like to think that with giving him another week of getting all the reps, I would like to think that he is going to put himself in a position, because he's really in a rarefied position where he could really make a name for himself, whether it's with here or potentially somewhere else, after the season. Because if I'm not mistaken, I believe his contract is up with us after this year. He signed
He's a restricted rights free agent, right?
Yeah, because he signed for 2 years, $1.5 million. It's a contract that he signed with us. So, and that was back in 2020. So, yeah, he's a free agent after this year.
Right.
So this will be a time for him to put out some film, because he's going to get several games. Because I don't see any of the other quarterbacks that we recently added to this roster being anywhere near ready to take on this Joe Brady playbook. And maybe with PJ Walker, instead of dumbing it down like we had to for Sam Darnold, we can actually maybe open this thing up, with the recent improvement of this offensive line. Now, that may change with the loss of Paradis, torn ACL for the year. And I think Cam Irvin is out for at least 3 weeks with a calf. Right. Personally, he can go sit right beside the bench with Darnold for the rest of the season for all I care as well. I'd rather go to war with Brady Christensen at left tackle, or anybody else. But I'm done with him too. As far as center goes, Tecklenburg, hey, do your thing. Again, Pat Elflein can go sit on the bench too, but out of necessity, he may be needed as depth, because we are starting to get spread a little bit thin on the offensive line with these IR injuries. So, but yeah, overall though, PJ Walker, I'm gonna get a benefit of the doubt and say that he's definitely has a chance. And something that we talked about, in our post game Sunday was the fact that teams seem to kind of bond and kind of be around him during the game, since they wasn't fucking with Sam Darnold. They was all huddled around PJ Walker. So, let's keep it realistic. But I mean, I'm just gonna be a little hopeful that maybe PJ can come out and shock the world this coming Sunday.
Yeah, but who is he? I imagine that question is about Matt Barkley. He's a USC quarterback. he had a good college career. I'm not gonna lie. He was a 4th round draft pick by Philadelphia Eagles back when they had Chip Kelly. So he played in Philly for a couple years. He went to Buffalo, backed up Josh Allen, and he was on Tennessee Titans practice squad. That's where we signed him. So we signed him to the active roster. So he'll be, when you sign a guy off the practice squad, he has to be on your active roster for at least 3 weeks. So Matt Barkley is going to be here to stay for the next several games. And don't get me wrong. I think as a backup, I think it's a good signing. I mean, he's veteran. He's, smart. He can learn the playbook fast. Good guy to have in the quarterback room. I think what makes it worse is that we basically have 3 backup quarterbacks on our roster already. So it's like we're just adding more backups to, we really don't have that main franchise guy. So, I mean, I don't expect him to start right away. I mean, I think it's PJ's job to lose at this point. And no matter your opinion of PJ, I mean, it's a golden opportunity for the guy, I mean, he's a great story. How many times was he cut by the Colts? Like 20 times, which is unheard of. Cut 20 times and brought back. Went to the XFL, was the superstar of the league. I was adopted Houston Roughnecks fans because I really enjoyed watching PJ in the XFL. We all predicted the Panthers would sign him because of the connection with Matt Rule. So, I mean, he earned his shot at the NFL again. I mean, he came last year. He wasn't really ready to be a starter, but, I mean, this is his chance. I mean, he's been waiting for this his whole life. Despite what you think of his talent, his upside, whatever, the ball's in his hands and he controls his destiny. So let's see what he's able to do before we start to write him off.
Yeah, definitely good to have the.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I just said definitely, I think it's definitely good for us to be open-minded and give him a fair chance, a wait-and-see approach. Because at this point, our expectations are already low. So, let's just keep open mind and give him a couple games and see what happens.
He says, I believe Cam would have wanted to come back and make a statement. I do too. I know some people are saying, why should Cam, come and save Matt Rule's job, the guy that cut him, ... But it's a business. And I think both Cam and Matt Rule understand that. And I don't really think it's about, I mean, if Cam never played for us, you take the logo off the team, I think any team in our situation right now would at least bring him in for a workout. But I think it's just the politics, the feelings, the egos, just will not allow that to happen. Is Cam really a better option than? I'd say so. I just think we saw, even the 2020 version of him that we saw was you can't underestimate the value of a veteran presence in that quarterback room. He's just more calm in the pocket. He's seen a lot of these defenses before. His plays faster. He's not going to be as confused. There's a lot of benefits to experience that PJ just doesn't have yet. Not to say I'm giving up on PJ, but I just think Cam's experience is a advantage. I think it's possible PJ makes enough plays and first downs for us to win some games. I mean, we saw that in the Detroit game last year. He made some good throws, made some plays with his legs. Defense pitched a shutout, so hopefully we can see more of that this year. Let's move on to Matt Rule's interview today. Were you able to catch that?
I was able to catch bits and pieces of it. Mostly read a lot of it through Twitter, but actually physically sit down and watch it yet. Nah, I hadn't been able to do that yet.
So one thing he talked about was David Tepper told him that he wants 2 things: back-to-back winning seasons, number 1, and a Super Bowl, number 2. Looking at Matt Rule through a year and a half, you think he's headed in that direction from what you see?
That's a good one. I'm gonna say yeah.
If you look at the positives, I mean, defense went from 18th, 19th last year to about 2nd this year. I mean, we definitely saw improvements on that side of the ball. They
Tremendous
invested a lot
improvements.
of draft picks on that side of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
We got a lot of veteran contributors like Frankie Louvu, Hassan Reddick, Stephon Gilmore, all playing great ball. I mean, they've almost single-handedly carried us and won some games this year. Offensive side of the ball, though, the most important positions. Quarterback, we don't have one. Left tackle, we don't have one. And ironically, those are the hardest positions to find.
Right. But a little bit more, I've seen a lot of comments, about PJ. Just to kind of look back over his stats from that week against Detroit last year. His stat line was 24 for 34, 258 yards, one touchdown, those 2 interceptions in the end zone. He was sacked once. Outside of 2 interceptions, he played well enough, fairly well. That game, take away them interceptions, this could easily been 34-0. Type of game. Now the running game, that game did kind of struggle. 34 carries, 116 yards. So that's like 3.5 yards to carry. But he definitely spreaded the ball around last year. DJ Moore had 11 targets. Curtis Samuel had 10. Robbie Anderson had 9. So, just based on that, I mean, he definitely believes in spreading the ball around. He definitely, it showed that he can definitely make some good decisions. Like I say, from the 20 to the 20, he made, fairly good decisions. So, again, it was Detroit Lions. So we definitely want to see a much better defense by him playing the Arizona Cardinals coming up, particularly in that secondary, than what he faced back then. But again, there's just enough out there to think that with another full week of getting first team reps, that PJ Walker could come out there and play well enough to put us in a position to win. Because at this stage, that's all we want to that's all we want to do is get a W. To try to get a W dressed up all pretty, that's not needed. If we can come back to Charlotte 5-5, I'll take that.
Yeah, I mean, you saw Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins both missed practice today, so they're questionable for this Sunday. So, I mean, they're going to be playing with their backup quarterback too, Colt McCoy probably. So, I mean, might be a chance to steal one. Any news on Brian Burns? Brian missed practice today. He has a foot injury. I think he hurt it originally on the play. Mac Jones kind of twisted his ankle. We talked about that on the podcast, which should be available tomorrow. And then he hurt it, re-injured it late in the game as well. So we'll see. I think the second injury, actually, he admitted was a different injury. So hopefully he doesn't. Hopefully we'll see where he goes Sunday. I mean, apparently he recovers fast. Matt Rule compared him to Wolverine, the superhero. So I think, he's going to try to play, I'm sure.
Yeah, we're definitely going to need him.
Defense is solid. They're on the field too long. Yeah, it's been kind of the story all year. I mean, defense, not only have they been on the field too long, but with the turnovers, we're giving opposing offenses short fields, putting them in a lot of tough situations. So I think that's the key for PJ as well. Just manage the game, be the best PJ he can be, take care of the ball, don't turn it over, and, use his feet, revert to his check downs whenever possible. I think he should be fine. Let's see, we have any more updates today before we sign off for the night?
Really not much from my end. I just want to say Matt Jones, for someone that's having a good rookie year, I definitely think this is a blackout moment for you. I think that was a dirty-ass play. Your explanation for why you did it the way you did it, to me, was a load of crap. Will, I didn't know if you caught it, but did you see the tweet or the message put out by Brian Burns wishing the rest of the defensive ends to have good hunting against Matt Jones. Because stuff like that, even though they play for other teams, that's like a brotherhood amongst defenders. You know what I'm saying? Like, stuff like that, because pulling and tugging on the ankle like that, twisting it like that, that's stuff that can take away people's livelihood, man. So yeah, but Matt Jones, that was a dirty play. I'm not gonna call you a dirty player, but that was a dirty play that you made. And our players had the right to call him out on that. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
Yes, what did he say? What did Matt Jones say, or what did Brian Burns say? Matt Jones commented on it Monday, said he thought Burns had the ball, which, I mean, you look at the replays, clearly didn't have the ball. But today he just said, I'm past that, I already answered it, and I'm thinking about the next game. Brian Burns basically said, he wants an apology from Matt, and that, all the defensive ends, bombs or what did he say?
He says good hunting.
Yeah, good hunting. And
Yeah,
hope he plays him again. Was Matt Jones not fined for that? I don't know yet. I think they're still reviewing the play. I know they haven't. I don't know what day of the week they finally issue fines, things like that. So hopefully they do some kind of punishment, because that type of, if that was Vontaze Burfict doing that to a quarterback, I'm sure it would have been fined already and suspended.
Oh yeah. That would have been done within 24 hours.
Yeah, happy hunting. That's what he said. And think about it, Matt Jones plays Myles Garrett this week. So, he's going to get after him. All right, well, that's all we got for tonight. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Just do this little update show based on the big news we've had this week. So apparently, like we said, Sam Darnold's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks with a fractured scapula, kind of like in his chest bone, was what people explained to us. So that means 4 to 6 weeks is going to put him, mid to late December. So he's starting to question whether, has he taken his last snap as a Panther? Time will tell. Now it's just PJ Walker time. Start with a new slate, see what he has, and hopefully we wish him the best when he can help us get some wins, string some wins together. So make sure y'all check out our podcast tomorrow, which will probably be released soon. And until then, keep pounding. We'll talk to you guys Sunday after the game.
Hey, one more thing. The game is let the fans know it's a 4:05 game since they're playing on the West Coast. And, normally we do our post-game live right around 7:30. So as soon as the game is over, come back here and join us for our live post-game show this coming Sunday. We're going to say probably around 7:30. About 7:30 Sunday, Will? You think that'd be a good time?
About 7:30 when the game, probably right after the final whistle.
Yeah, so make sure you and all your friends come on back here and join us. We'll be glad to give you a breakdown at what happened out there in Arizona.
All right. There you have it, man. We'll talk to y'all Sunday.
What a rush.